aging well. And so, we can talk about things that age well all day, right? People, cars, trading cards. I mean, these are the things that are on my mind, right? Thank you so much for watching the videos. I really, really appreciate it. But I'm about a week away from that moment where I'm watching one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And I'm finding out that one of my main crushes turned out to be IRL, this crazy, sort of just crazy, alleged weirdo, Allison Mack, right? And so I'm watching Smallville, which is, by the way, probably the greatest comic book adaptation of all time. Now, growing up as a kid, because Smallville was popular in the early aughts, and I think there were like 10 seasons. So I always would hear my friends talk about Smallville and Gilmore Girls, very popular WB series at the time. And I'd always tell myself, I'm not a Superman fan. I've read the comics. The movies didn't do that much for me. And again, this was at the time before superhero movies were big again and stuff. And so Smallville, I always put on the back burner, sort of like Grey's Anatomy. Although I still live in a world, low-key, where Grey's Anatomy is still very popular, and I have no idea what has happened in the Grey world in like 20 years. But that's another series that I hope to binge relentlessly sometime in the future. I only have the first season right now, and there's more than 20. So yeah, getting back to Smallville. So I have a huge crush. How can you say this, right? So the one of the girls in the show, her name is Allison Mack in real life, but she portrays one of Clark Kent's, one of Superman's main, buds. And while I'm only on season 1, and to be fair, I've seen no other seasons, but I think Allison Mack is a pretty woman, right? I think she's attractive, whatever. And so I'm telling myself the other day, like, I want to IMDb, Allison Mack. And then I put her name into Google, and just sort of these crazy things come up. And I'm like, holy potatoes. I'm hoping for a Smallville reboot, and this girl's just getting out of jail for being in a cult. So many things happen in 20 years, less than 20 years, 10 years. So going back to aging well, let's all kindly remind ourselves that we want to age in a graceful manner and not be like, your Allison Macks, your Harvey Weinsteins, your Puff Daddy Combs, Puffy Love Man, whatever it is, age well. And obviously that means probably being on your best behavior and, trying to be ethical and trying to be moral and trying to do things the right way, so that, people aren't binge watching your show 20 years from now and Google your name only to find out that you joined a cult. And there are so many jokes and punchlines in Smallville in reference to sort of cult-like behavior and cult-like tradition. I mean, we're talking about the Superman world here, right? And so it's weird because these jokes have not at all aged well, and while I'm still like major crushing on Allison Mack, and then I think that's weird too, right? Like low-key, like, why do I think Casey Anthony and Allison Mack are hot? It's probably because they are beautiful women, but they are terrible people. And so there's always that, I'm like, holy potatoes, Allison Mack is just a handful for sure, but she's still very pretty. Doesn't change the fact that she's a total creep, really weird, and I'm kind of disappointed that she did not age well. And in fact, she did quite the opposite, I'd say, in every other capacity except for beauty-wise. So yeah, I know, low-key, I still think she's hot, but she's a little too much for me. Yeah, I mean, that's saying a lot for sure. But anyways, I'm watching Smallville, and I just found out that one of my main crushes on the show turned out to be somebody that's just not a good person. And so anyways, I guess there'll be no Smallville reboot.